postponed. One of them was in June. The other one was, well, March, June, and then October. October, I was supposed to fight for the NABO title. And, 2 days before the fighter just quit on me. Never showed up to the Vegas. And, it's just been a rough 2020. But in a good note, just have my kid, my son. He just turned 1 year old. It's just been a great motivation for me.
And, I asked Andrew this question, Joseph, Kissimmee is basically little Puerto Rico, right? It's as close as you can get to Puerto Rico when you're in the United States. So can you discuss how important it is for you to perform and to fight in front of a crowd that it will be largely Puerto Rican and Puerto Rican American, well, Puerto Rican, I should say.
Yeah, like I said, it's just like a mini Puerto Rican parade out in June, Madison Square Garden. That's how it's gonna feel. It's full. I know this arena's already sold out. I know it's gonna be a great main event from top to bottom. From the first fight 6 p.m. to the main event probably 10:30. It's gonna be just straight fireworks. All type of styles of boxing. It feels amazing. Knowing that Puerto Rico is still supporting the young prospects.
And I wanted to ask you. I mean, you're coming back from the, by far the longest life of your career against a guy who is unbeaten in Jamaine Ortiz, who's coming off a very good win on the Mike Tyson Roy Jones Roy Jones undercard. He had a very, very eye-opening win. So what does it say about your confidence that you're coming back from a long layoff and you're coming back in what many people would say is the toughest test of your career?
It just you said it yourself. It just explains a lot. It means that I'm ready to fight. I didn't take no tuna fight. Because some guys, they take a long layoff, and after a draw, they'll come back, get a nice little tuna fight, get an easy win, and then go back to the real test. But nah, we're not here for that. We ready. We fighters. I'm not afraid of anything. We got to step up the level, and we're gonna go in there and take the toughest fights.
And thank you, Joseph. And as I mentioned, raise hand button if you'd like to ask questions of our fighters today. So we will, and again, with English questions for Joseph, please. When we get to Navarrete and Diaz, Navarrete and Diaz, we'll have Gardy Lopez here in the chat who can translate from English to Spanish and vice versa. First question for Joseph, we have Eric Alexander. Eric, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hey, Joseph. Just like you stated, 2020 was a weird year for everybody. Can you talk about how different training was, the approach, and with all the social distancing, how did you guys handle it to keep training at a high level for fights of this type?
We down in where I'm from, Allentown, Pennsylvania, we have our own gym. So, it wasn't that hard to keep the social distance and training. But, 2020 was a rough year, even though I didn't get the fights I needed. I was supposed to fight March, June, and October, and all those fights just fell off for me. Had my son coming in April. So, it had this good and bad, but, just kept on the focus. We had sparring with world champions, world champions stay in the gym active at all time. So that was a plus right there. So, I'm just ready and prepared for this fight coming up, though, for sure.
And having traveled to Puerto Rico, and this being a very Puerto Rican heavy card, what does that mean to you? Does that give you an extra bit of motivation to face the future opponents?
Yeah, this gave me a very, very I get more motivated within the days. 4 days left, I get more motivated out in the gym. In the gym, I look in the mirror, I get more excited. I'm like, yes, it's already here. All the hard work is done. What we're doing is now just relaxing, sweating the last 2 pounds off. Just relaxing in the gym, motivated, staying focused. It just shows that if I perform well on Saturday night, that Puerto Rican crowd is going to keep going behind me. I'm my toughest test up to date. They're going to know that they have a real, true prospect coming up.
And Joseph, you mentioned in October your scheduled opponent. I think he just didn't show up for his flight. I honestly, I think it's still a mystery about what happened back in October. Is part of you like, not going to believe you're back in the ring until you're actually in the ring with your opponent, given like everything that's gone on in COVID and you sort of been snake bitten in 2020 aside from what everybody else has gone through?
Well, his trainer, I know my opponent's trainer, he told me straight up, the kid got scared. 2 days before the fight, you know, he had 2 full months to train for me. We was gonna fight for the NABO title, 10 rounds. You know, 2 days before the fight, the kid just got scared. The call pulled out. You know, the trainer told me straight up. But you know, yeah, me and my brother used to always talk about it on the rides to sparring. We was like, yo, it don't even feel like we're gonna fight. It don't feel the same anymore. But you know, it's not gonna feel the same until that last minute when you wrapping up your gloves and stuff. That's when you're really gonna get the nerves and all that stuff.
And I should mention Joseph's younger brother, Jeremy Adorno, is a junior featherweight prospect, 4-0. He too hasn't fought since January 2020 in Atlantic City on the Jesse Hart, Joe Smith Jr. card, which also was a raucous crowd. And I think rather than 15 months ago, sort of feels like 15 years ago. But yeah, Jeremy Adorno will be the second fight on the card. So figure around 6:20, 6:30 Eastern, you'll see Jeremy Adorno in action as well. We move to Joe Hewlett.
And it shows a lot, you know. It shows a lot about my brother and I. You know, we took undefeated fighters on our comeback.
That is true, yeah. And Jeremy Adorno's fighting a gentleman named Ramiro Martinez from Texas, 2-0-2. So both Adorno brothers taking undefeated fighters on Saturday night. Joe Hewlett. Joe, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Greetings from England. Joseph, my question to you is, this weekend it's a real big fight for you. How do you rate the fighter that you're going in with?
You know, the fighter, I don't really look into the fighters like that a lot, but you know, I just looked at his record, who he fought, what he's done. You know, he's a great fighter. You know, he's ranked number 9 in the U.S., so I know he's up there. You know, he just came off of a big victory. You know, he has won youth titles back then. Not so long ago. So, you know, I know it's a tough fight, you know, toughest fight of my career. But, hey, if we don't take these fights, how are we going to know if we're great or not?
And you have 12 knockouts on your record. Do you think you'll knock him out?
Man, I never go for the knockout. You know, if a knockout comes, it comes. You know, like I said, with my last fight, you know, it opened up my eyes. You know, it's just not about hitting hard. You know, you got to box smart in there, use your brain. And, you know, if the knockout comes, then we're going to take it for sure. But if it don't, then we're ready for all rounds.
And I have a question from the chat from Carlos Gonzalez, and he wants to ask you, Joseph, how have things changed in your boxing career since becoming a father?
You know, it changed a lot. You know, it shows that being a father, you know, it's hard at times. You know, while training being a 24/7 boxer, plus you got to put out the time to be a father. So you know, it just really motivates me even more, though, to be honest, because now I don't only have to feed me, and I have to feed my own family, you know, my son. I don't want my son to go through hard things, you know, so I just got to work hard and, you know, make sure to provide everything for my family.
And as I mentioned, everybody, please raise hand button. We got a couple more questions, a couple more minutes with Joseph. So yeah, please raise hands, or yeah, you can ask a question in the chat, and I can ask, you know, like Carlos Gonzalez just did. Happy to do that. So next we stay in the UK. Jonathan Nagyoff, Pro Boxing Fans. Jonathan, please go ahead.
Hey, Joseph. I just wondered if you could briefly touch on sort of your roots into boxing. Was it just like a lot of Puerto Rican fighters saw Miguel Cotto or someone like that? How did you sort of start?
To be honest, I started because of my dad. You know, my dad, he was a boxer. I'm gonna cut it summarize quick. He was a boxer. A nail hit his eye, scraped his eye. He lost the eye. And then 3 months after, he started training me and my little brother. I started boxing at the age of 6 out in Puerto Rico, did 40 fights in Puerto Rico. And then at the age of 9, I moved to the U.S. And, you know, ever since then, I just been boxing my whole career. But, yeah, you know, watching Tito, Cotto, all those guys inspire me, you know, how the crowd loved them for who they is. You know, win or loss, the crowd's still there with them, sold out stadiums, win or loss. And that's what we're trying to build, and that's what I'm trying to become.
Appreciate you've got a big fight on Saturday against an unbeaten guy, but if you come through this, you know, do you have any guys in mind you want to fight?
Yeah, you know, I feel like I know Teofimo going to go up to 140 soon. You know, those belts are going to be vacant. So I know there's a big fight, you know, winner could be ranked up for a chance for a world title. So, you know, it's a big fight, you know, big step up, and, you know, I'm just ready.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. And Joseph, you mentioned that, you know, is this party, you know, you came up, you know, with a string of huge knockouts, 2018, 2019, then the draw, then the layoff. Is part of you feel like now you have to sort of reprove yourself because the fans haven't seen you in a while. You're coming off, admittedly, not your best performance.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you have to prove a little something to the fans that maybe, because it's been a couple years since you had a highlight reel knockout?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it's just how I feel. It's not a fact, but it's how I feel. I feel like I have the most toughest fight in the whole card. I got the pressure on my fight was a last draw. I come out of 15 months layoff, and I got an opponent that's 14-0 with 8 knockouts. So it's just gonna be a tough fight. The pressure's on for sure. But we just gotta go out there, perform, and be comfortable, and just do me.
Okay, we have a question here from Ricardo Torres. Trying to get this question. He's asking for those. Yeah, so I mean, basically the question is, representing Saturday night for all of Puerto Rico, and again the importance of of representing your home island and doing so in front of a crowd that's going to be largely Puerto Rican.
Yeah, I always, no matter what, every fight in and out, I carry the flag of Puerto Rico in all my fights. When they pronounce me, they announce my name, I always pronounce that I'm from Puerto Rico, and it's going to be it's a great feeling, when I know that once they say I'm from Puerto Rico, the crowd going to go crazy for me. I just got to just perform well. And
Joseph, before we let you go, any final words you'd like to say to the fans out there that are going to be watching Joseph Adorno for the first time in 15 months?
I just want to say that if you didn't buy your tickets, you can get on ESPN Plus. You're going to watch the whole card from fight 1, from fight 8. All fights are going to be explosive, And I just want to say thank you for all my followers, all my supporters, Puerto Rico, Allentown, everybody from the whole United States, from wherever you're watching me, supporting me. I appreciate it. And Joseph is going to prove